doing shit and you want to goddamn put on the
Welcome
camera.
to Hot Mess.
This is a hot fucking mess.
After everything that y'all just said, well, that you just said, and the last thing that you really just said is that a man shouldn't leave his family, period. How can y'all say all that and then tell me that I shouldn't go home?
Well, DJ, I say that in your situation because I have been on both sides of the fence. I have lived in Louisiana and I have lived in Georgia. And I see your progression in Georgia versus your progression in Louisiana. And I feel like that's taking a step back. I'm not saying that you can't be a father to your son, but in your situation, even when you go home, your son still don't live with you every day.
True that.
So he gonna leave you every now and then. It ain't no different than him coming to visit you anyway. It's all the same. He's still young and never said that you had to be here forever, but you just need to get what you need to get here established so when you do go home, you're not going home to the same shit you left with. Because if you go back home, you need to go back home way better than you left that motherfucker. Period. And that means not asking a motherfucker to sleep on their couch, their chair, no nothing. That you go home and you got your own motherfucking place. You got a 2-bedroom. You got a room for Brandon, a room for yourself, and you still established and making the money you need to make. But going home to do the same thing and rebuild, it's not going to be. It was no purpose of you leaving him in the first place. That's my problem.
So what do you have to say, Tata?
First off, let me just say that every situation is unique. Every, and I don't quite know all of your family situation, but to me, going home is taking a step back. Even though my family, like I'm so close to my mom, my sisters, I'm close. We're a close-knit family. But for me to go back would be, to me, wasting 10 years of my life. The kids are, all that we've sacrificed to be here, all the sweat, the blood, the tears would all be pointless. All the lessons, not to say that, when I go home, even though St. Louis and Atlanta, they're both big cities, but when I go home, I feel like it's not that I feel like I'm better, but I feel like it's so much slower. Atlanta's a big city, so from here you got to go to LA, or you got to go to New York, or you got to go to Canada or somewhere else. You got to do that. You got to upgrade. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't be with your family, because I think that you should be with your family, but to me you should work on maybe getting them out here, maybe making them see. Because to me, for my family, because I haven't had anybody move out here, I've been trying to convince my sisters. But when I talk to them all the time, and I just let them know, life is good. Like when I go home, I look good to everybody. At least I know from going home and just seeing that I'm doing okay. It's not as bad. We get so wrapped up in the hustle out here, because when you come to ATL, you got to hustle. You got to work. You got to hustle.
Yeah.
You can't just work. You got to do both.
Right.
If you down here, I see so many people go back. I went back, but I was like, when I went back, I knew what I had to do when I came back. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I won't go back.
Right.
And that's why I'm not going anywhere else, because I still haven't conquered this. And yeah, it's been 9 years, but sometimes it takes time. But to me, it's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. But like I said, when you're in ATL, you gotta sweat. You gotta work for yours. You're gonna mess up, but you learn from it and you get better. You don't run. So, and no, I don't think a man should leave his family like your dad, my dad. I mean, my mom was off the chain.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I wish I could have got what y'all said before all that on camera too, but that's, I'm gonna title this one Real Nigga Shit. You know what I'm saying?
That is. No, but my dad, like my mom was more of the one that was kind of out there. And my dad was the one, to me, my dad had every reason to leave. We used to try to encourage him to leave. And when they got divorced, I was so happy for him. Because I knew that he stayed because he had 3 daughters, and he knew that taking us and raising us by ourselves was a big task. But he knew that even though